If you work in a tech company, you probably have seen this sometimes. You work on a feature for several months, you release it to the public, and it goes unused. And you probably have seen this not just one time, but even several times with several features over different years. There are several studies that we're going to go through now and try to understand what have companies, what have research institutes found out about this problem. So the first one is from Strategy. And in Strategy, they're just saying basically that you're spending too much on your product development. And without going through the whole article, one of their main points is that many companies suffer because they lack clarity and focus. The average failure rate for new products hovers around 75 to 90%, which is crazy and bonkers when you think about it, that's a very high rate. And if 3/4 of the new products fail, then a massive amount of product development resources is being wasted. And you could argue sometimes that you could equiparate, in this case, maybe products to features, but that might not be the truth in all the cases. Let's go to another study. So to try to maybe validate a little bit the previous one, let's look now at one from Pendo. In Pendo, what they are talking about is that the scale of software waste is immense again, and here the research shows that 80% of software features are rarely or never used, wasting precious product and development time on things nobody values. And even on top of this, on the flip side, 49% of all software businesses goes unused. So you buy a product and in 49% of the cases it goes unused, which is, again, very, very worrying statistic. But let's concentrate on the 80%, meaning that 80% of your development is going nowhere. If I go one more that I wanted to talk about is this Harvard Business Review that they survey 500 frontline employees, middle managers, and senior executives across 12 companies who said they felt strategic agreement within their companies was 82%. So highly aligned, highly strategic. However, when the researchers analyzed their actual descriptions of company strategy, the alignment was 2 or 3 times lower at just 23%. So this basically paints a picture where companies are spending a ton of effort on developing and working on, or doing work. It can be features if you're thinking about product development. It can be even campaigns if you think about marketing, because this problem is not just a product development problem. That they are not aligned with the strategic goals of the company and they are not going to have impact on the company, on the business. And just to put a little bit more flavor on this, I have put together a calculator. You can find it in the description if you want to go and check it out. The idea with this calculator is to try to understand also what is the cost or the waste that you are incurring on. Not only the cost and the waste, but also think about it, about the opportunity that you could be building, but really actually bringing this investment to the areas that you want to develop. So here in this case, I just have an example where you will have a team of 20 people, so FTEs, full-time employees, at a cost of per FTE for 120,000 per year. This is including bonuses and all the different things that you have. You can also set up your currency. So if you want to do it in euros, you can do it in different currencies. And then you have, what is your strategic goal? The alignment of your work. It can be a strategic, meaning that it aligns with the strategies, bringing or moving forward certain KPIs, or ideally it is targeting those KPIs. Some work can be maintenance, it's relatively normal to have, and then there's going to be supporting work. So let's say that 20% of your work is strategic. It's probably relatively low. Then you have maintenance of 30%. It's probably maybe a little bit on the higher end, but it depends a little bit. And then you have your supporting work, meaning supporting work in this case, tasks that probably are not bringing a ton of value to the overall strategy of the company. They might be bringing value to maybe a sales case, but addressing one sales case is not addressing the goals of the company. And as you can imagine, any other needs that they might be addressing these individual features or individual activities, they are not really being strategic, and they are not being maintenance. Maintenance being the work that you have to do to make sure that your products keep on running over time. And maintenance can be also things like in marketing, if you think like campaigns that you are running with different search engines just to keep your name popping over competitors, for example. That probably will be more like maintenance than necessarily strategic in many cases. And then you can set up here, what would be your target? Okay, let's not go crazy. 75% from 20% is probably a very, very big jump. Let's be conservative. And let's say that we want to target 50%. We want to reduce maintenance burden maybe by 5 percentage points. And we will keep supporting work for a while in 25%, meaning that we will still address some sales cases and customer cases that might be maybe not driving strategy, but might keep some big customers happy or whatnot. So we calculate now. And we can see now here that my potential savings annually. So this is my opportunity. I could be reinvesting. So basically, not reinvesting, I just basically align that my teams are focusing on what they need to focus, that my teams are focusing and aligning with the strategic goals that I want to achieve. And this is not going to, probably the ideal will be to be over 60% strategic alignment, when you think that there's no way that you're going to get rid of maintenance work, and probably you will always have some kind of supporting work. But this would mean that 7,200, sorry, that's not 7,200, 720,000 per year could be basically focus or refocus on other opportunities, strategic opportunities to grow your business. This means that you're talking about what? 6 people. That is a team that would be really focusing instead of things that sounds nice, but they really don't move the needle. Things that probably are those ones that are failing in the studies that I mentioned earlier, and start driving the strategies that you want to drive in the company. I think that one of the graphs that I like the most is this one, because it shows you here. Let me zoom it a bit, because now I wanted to show everything. Let me zoom in so you can see it properly. So here you can see better now that this is now jumping from the current state that is 20% to a 50%. And you can even put it in financial, where you will be investing 480 of your total investment in let's say R&D or product development. Only 480,000 would be focused out of the almost 2.5 million in strategic work, whereas you will go to 1.2 million that would be focused on strategic work. Right now, a big portion, like 1.25, so sorry, 1,200,000 is focused on supporting, so half of your budget for R&D, for product development, which means that that's not strategic work, that's not advancing your strategy, that's going to cause waste in most of the cases for all the work that is going to be developed. The approach here is that in here, what you want to do is that the focus, honestly, is to keep your teams busy, having them do features and having them build and create new releases to supposedly bring value to the customers. Here, on the other hand, when you change the focus, you want to make sure that you are not just building features, you want to make sure that you are really now focusing on creating those opportunities for advancing your business impact, for advancing your business, for creating growth. And there's never 100% guarantee. But if you are more strategic, likelihood is that you are going to have better results. If you want to see a system that I put together to help you really start being more strategic in your work, in your initiatives, in not just telling the teams to be more strategic, but really setting a framework and a system that is going to help them be more strategic and actually help you close that gap of hundreds of thousands or potential millions, because this is a 20 people development team. This is a relatively small team for many of the companies. There are companies with hundreds, if not thousands, or if not even more, product development teams, or teams with over 100,000 people in the product development team. Sorry, apparently I cannot talk today. But this system is going to help you really set the framework for those teams and really then having clear strategies to align to be able to drive those KPIs, to drive those strategic initiatives, and not so much focusing on features that are not going to advance the goals of the company. If you want to learn more about it, please check the links in the description. There is both the system and the framework, plus there is also the calculator that you can go and check it out. So what about you? What do you think is typically the share of a strategic work that you see in your companies? Please just let me know in the comments below. See you in the next one.